Good morning, Donna. Good morning, everyone. Father Ken will be just on his way. He seems to be running a tad behind today, so. But I'm here, don't worry. I'll just continue my work over here. Good morning, everyone. We'll be getting started in just a few minutes. Good morning, Donna, Sarah, Teresa, Deneen, and Joanne. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll be back. We'll be starting in just a few moments. We're waiting for Father Kent to arrive.
Hello there.
Hello.
You live?
We are live.
Great.
Where did the... Oh, there it is. I lost something, but I found it back. Don't worry.
I was really getting worried.
If I could tell. So I was consoling you. Good morning, Terry. Thanks so much for joining us today. Good morning, Don, Cindy, Olita. Morning, Dad. What are you looking for?
These will do. The ongoing saga. Morning, everybody.
Oh my! So we got us something a little Oh, go on, no, go ahead.
Oh, I think I heard it. It was so
heard it?
exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very loud when it does that process.
Mm-hmm. Everyone can hear. In the tri-state region. I haven't looked at the YouTube feed. I presume the YouTube feed is up.
Well, my sister says we're here, so that's
okay, good.
And she's a YouTuber.
She's a YouTuber?
Yeah.
Okay. YouTuber.
YouTuber.
That's a kind of potato, isn't it?
That's right.
That's actually
Yes.
very fitting. YouTubers are a type of couch potato.
That's true.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, good job.
Look at that. All that we're discovering today. Okay.
Yeah, that's when you hear someone's potato farmer, you say, YouTuber.
Oh, that was terrible.
It was.
I'm sorry. Please don't judge us for that. A series of comments there.
The hits keep coming. Let's see. I need to go to this one. Alrighty. I'm gonna click and drag something here. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Turn on the tube. There we go. There's the tube.
There we go. Got a couple questions there from Laurie. We're gonna take a look at a couple of those.
Okay. Actually, I want to click and drag here. I want to get a picture of the new artwork from the cross.
Ah, okay.
That one right there.
Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll be getting started just a moment. Make sure I have my poem up.
There we go. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready whenever you are.
All right. Well, let's take the little banner down, turn the music down. Welcome everyone to the Fireside Chat Good Friday edition. Glad you're tuning in with us today. Happy to have you. And it is a sweater day.
It is a sweater day. Exactly. The Lord heard the cry of the poor a few days ago, and he has responded with great and delightful chilly weather.
Well, and I decided it was a red sweater day. So
there we are.
this is one of my dad's sweaters, and I did have a nice gray sweater on. I think that I got for Christmas 2 Christmases ago from my sister. But then I said, hey, it's Good Friday, so I'll throw on my red sweater. I think that I think there's a great tradition here that at Palm Sunday, you wouldn't know this. Let me put this down
Put
a
it
bit.
down a little bit. There we are.
That people are really good here at Good Shepherd about dressing for the liturgical seasons.
Oh,
So
okay.
generally, like for Palm Sunday, people put on red, and generally for people coming to the service
cool.
on Good Friday, people put on red. So
Mm-hmm.
in honor of that tradition, I thought I'd put on some red today, and to honor my dad here for Good Friday. So felt like a red sweater day.
Well, very nice. I don't have a colored sweater part, but I do have a story with this sweater.
Oh, do tell.
I bought this sweater with my father. We went to Target, and they have a fantastic sweater collection. So I bought this sweater, and the next day I was wearing it. Maybe it was a few days later. And I was just standing there, and all of a sudden I just kind of put my hands here. I was like, huh, what's that? And then I put in, and I realized that my sweater has pockets. And I had not realized that when I bought the sweater. So I got a little sweater surprise, they call it.
Little sweater surprise.
It was a delightful sweater surprise. And now whenever I stand around, I can have warm hands. It's great. So
That's pretty nice. My
had
sweater
no idea.
has no pockets.
no pockets. That's okay.
I've got some other thingies that have, I'm not sure they're sweaters exactly, but they have pockets. But this particular one is pocketless.
Mhm.
So
Okay, so Lauren Larson or Karen Larson, one of the two, says, "Good morning, fathers. Thank you for the beautiful Holy Thursday Mass and hour of adoration." And I wanted to echo how beautiful that hour of adoration was, especially if Lisa Sweet is watching, to embarrass her one more time.
Yeah, please
she did
do.
a fantastic
Yes.
job.
So that was Raffaele and Lisa. The camera, believe it or not, that the for some reason when we zoomed in, they got really dark on this camera here. But our lights were on full in the church.
Yeah.
So
Well, it was partly the lighting. It's also partly just how lenses are designed.
Sure.
As it gets closer, you're getting less refraction from the
Oh.
light, and so.
look at you go.
Okay.
But anyway, I know you couldn't see the people because we wanted to focus on the tabernacle. But that was Raffaele and Lisa, and I'll continue to embarrass Lisa. Lisa, if you're watching, she is amazing. She was the violinist, and she is amazing. Apparently, as the story goes, she had never improvised on the violin before.
Never.
Never.
And Raffaele called her, gave her a crash course on the phone
Right.
about the pentatonic scale.
The
was it?
pentatonic scale and improvisation. So Raffaele pushed her, and boy, it was beautiful. There were two numbers there, at least two numbers there, that they just improvised, and you wouldn't know it.
No,
it
it was gorgeous. It was like I said last night. It was beautiful and nuanced. There were times she did a great job of not bringing, of really bringing some great depth to some of the pieces. Because with improvisation, there's always the temptation to kind of go over the top. She was reserved the whole time.
Yeah.
And then when she moved forward and brought a lot of emotion to it, it was so natural.
Yep.
It was great.
It was beautiful. Yeah. So the music I thought was particularly lovely. That just I was bummed about those videos because they were so beautiful. I still might be able to find a way to get those up there, but I'm gonna work. I learned. I keep learning things about video production. One, don't use QuickTime for your video production. Bad idea. So I'll use iMovie today for the production of those videos for Good Friday. Also, Father Ashmore is presiding at the service tonight, so I will have a little bit more leeway to get things started and make sure everything is ready, and I can sneak up a little bit maybe later if necessary. So that does give us a little bit more leeway. And that Christian family supper that Father Ashmore put together was beautiful. It put us a little bit close to time as far as getting things set up. But it was worth it, I think, and I think that I've got really good feedback from the families. So
Good.
yeah,
We really enjoyed it.
we really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. So the Christian family supper, we had our table out here in this room, and it was neat. We could see people on our television, which is right here, and I think there were 16 spots there, sometimes 17 or 18.
Yeah, exactly. It's
And-
amazing how many we could fit up on there.
Yeah. And so we could see the families and hear the families, and it was nice in this time of distancing that we could be in a way together and come around a common table, pray together. Well, not exactly a common table, but a common meal, I guess, with separate tables. So it was lovely. But
Well, Carly says that yesterday was her favorite Holy Thursday ever. From the wonderful Christian family supper to the beautiful Mass, it will be one that she will always remember. Beautiful. That's exciting.
Awesome. And Laurel says it was great. So well done there, Father Ashmore. Dawn asked earlier about Lala. Palooza is our big fundraiser for for the year. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year, and I think like a lot of places we're just financially concerned, and it's a little bit difficult with our major fundraiser being off the table for this fiscal year. But we are planning still to do it in the summer. So we're planning on doing so that the fiscal year goes July to June, July 1 to June 30th. So I think that we are thinking that it's going to be in July, possibly August. I think so.
It will be at some point this year.
My first pandemic, so I don't know. Yeah. So, but we are. It's not. We are not canceling Lala. That much I will say. We are not canceling Lala. We are looking at when we can do it.
Right, and the website has been kept up to date to that. So if you're learning some information, we do have on the Lala website just a little graphic that says it has been postponed and we will be doing it later. So keep checking the website. It should be kept mostly up to date on everything.
Jordan, you're not interrupting at all, so no problem there. She says, how do I get over this completely overwhelming loneliness?
Yeah.
What do you got on that one? I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We are doing everything that we can. I'd be happy to give you a phone call if you'd like. Just email me, and I'll be happy to talk to you over the phone. And whatever I can offer, I'll try to offer.
I think loneliness is a good topic. I was going to give us a few moments to give us a few moments to transition into that, but we can transition into that now.
Yes, let me address my nieces here real quick, because that's something I need to do. I know maybe not everyone loves this become part of the show, but I just can't imagine my poor niece saying one day, "Why didn't you say hi?" So I gotta just say hi to my nieces here. So let's see here. Let me go to here to the camera. Hello, Rachel. Hello, Rosalie. Hello, Laura. Happy Good Friday! Are you wearing red also for Good Friday? It would be good to wear red on Good Friday. Even just a little bit of red, that might be good. Or color in red, because it's Good Friday. All right, I'm going to go back to the show. I love you. Bye. All right. So, loneliness.
Yeah. Well, I think loneliness, first of all, is normal. I think that's the first thing we have to recognize.
Sure. Yep.
A lot of people think that if I have a bad feeling, a feeling that I find unpleasant, displeasing, then there's something wrong with me. And I think the first thing to recognize is no, it's totally normal to feel lonely. I feel lonely sometimes. Spouses feel lonely sometimes. Yep. It's a normal thing. And when we experience it, the question always is, what are we going to do with that loneliness? Because we can take that loneliness and we can either run with it and use it in a way that's pleasing, or use it in a way that brings us use it in a way that's productive for us, or use it in a way that's unproductive, that's more harmful, that brings us more loneliness. So the obvious thing to do, first of all, when it comes to loneliness the obvious thing that happens with loneliness is sin. There's a lot of ways that we end up, because of the loneliness, we end up trying to fill that space that we find in our heart with sinful things. And the result of that is just more loneliness. You cannot become less lonely by doing things that are sinful.
Right.
Not because of any lack in yourself, but just because those things don't bring us the happiness we're searching for.
It's like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. I remember there was a story about that. I mean, it might have been a choose your own adventure or something about you're sitting on a boat or something, and you're surrounded by water and you're so thirsty, so you drink that water and makes things worse, right? So we tend to see these things and they seem so appealing. It's like, oh, I just need to satisfy my thirst, and then it makes things really worse. So
exactly, that's a beautiful example. I like that. So
lessons from Choose Your Own Adventure.
I think
that's where it came from.
It works. So first of all, recognize that loneliness is a normal thing, and you can use it for the good or the bad. Second of all, recognize that loneliness, I think, is a call from God for a deeper relationship with Him. First, ultimately, when we are lonely, it's because we're lacking a relationship with someone.
Yeah,
that's kind of the definition, I would presume. I'm desiring a relationship with someone at this point. When you have people that you live with, then, obviously it's easier to turn to other people to kind of fill in that hole that you're finding. But that's not always the best thing to do. If I'm constantly distracting myself from my loneliness, then I might be ignoring the call that God has given me in my heart for a deeper relationship with Him. So I think it's also important to recognize a third component, that loneliness also has a physical element. That sometimes our body chemistry is just such that we're more apt to feel loneliness.
Right. Yeah.
We haven't had a good dopamine push in a while. And that's just a normal part of being a human. We have a physical component too. So I think it's helpful to look at it in three ways. Relational, physical, and spiritual. This is how I think it's helpful to look at many times of temptation and many other times when we might be suffering. So first of all, is there a way that I can fix this with my relationships? Do I need to give my family members a call? Do I need to try to talk to other people? Is there something that I need to do relationally to help this loneliness? Is there something I need to do physically to help this loneliness? Am I getting the exercise I need? Am I eating well? Am I getting that physical satisfaction that I need to be a healthy human being? And then third level, spiritual. Am I praying? Am I uniting this with Jesus? Am I taking the time to really discover that relationship with Jesus? That doesn't mean those things will take away the loneliness, but that will help you to use that loneliness for the sake of the good, which is ultimately the call from God for a relationship with Him.
Yeah,
so,
good. Jen commented, I like to think of how Jesus felt lonely today. That could be a great thing to meditate upon today. I mean, it's all conjecture. We don't know what Jesus felt, but that is that could be a beautiful Good Friday meditation. We were talking about on Palm Sunday about the line that Jesus says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" So it's not a hopeless thing there. He knows that his Father is still with him. However, it is possible, I suppose it's conjecture, that in the human element, God could have pulled away so that Jesus could experience that. Not completely away, but that he would experience what it's like to feel that God is not that God is not close to you, or as close as you would want. And then certainly he had the feeling, or we don't know what his feelings were like, but certainly had the experience of all of his friends turning their back on him, and how hard that would be. We don't know, so we don't know exactly what Jesus felt, but I think that'd be a beautiful thing to meditate upon today on Good Friday, is that loneliness of Jesus on the cross, where I think many of us have experienced that, where we have had our friends who we thought were our good friends, and then all of a sudden things turn bad, and they abandon you. And so Jesus knows that. He has personally experienced it. That's a profound thing to consider, I think.
Certainly.
Yeah, very good. So there we go. So hopefully that's helpful little contemplation on loneliness on Good Friday. My nieces are wearing somber colors. I hear. I got a beautiful picture from my nieces of their somber colors. So they're not wearing red today. They're wearing somber colors, which is also a great choice. We didn't talk about what we are
drinking.
Yes, Good Friday. How good this is on Good Friday to have. We got special coffee today. Look, we got the roastery.
This is a great blend from the roasteries. It's called Sardines or something like that.
40 sardines.
40
which
sardines.
Would not be something I'd normally want in my coffee, but 40 sardines. There's a roastery there for you. Actually, maybe I'll take it back onto the O-camera, because it might be able to see it clearer. Here's the O-camera. Yeah. Oh yes, that's good. 40 sardines. The roastery. I don't. This came from the hidden collection here. I didn't know that this existed. And he ground it up this morning. These are beans, rattle. So delicious.
What can I say? I'm full of surprises.
That's right. So very good. Oh my goodness.
What's that?
Yes. Rachel's penance today is that she can't wear pink. That's her favorite color. That's a good
That's a good penance.
That's a good penance.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Rachel.
Mm-hmm. I've taken that penance my whole life.
Rachel, I'm so proud of you. Good job. Good job. Keep it up. No pink today because Jesus sacrificed for us. That's very good. So, and then Lori over on the tube.
Oh, yeah.
She asked about why do you only the both of us receive the body and blood? Well, we basically have the rule that we can't distribute communion. So
Exactly.
and we would think that would be kind of, I don't know, unfair, I guess, or I don't know. I mean, it's not the right word, but if we were to distribute communion like during the mass or whatever, we're not sure how.
Right.
But we're just not. It says also that distribution of Holy Communion is not to happen. So
right. There's also the other reality that Father and I, when we celebrate Mass, we have to receive.
We
both
have
species.
to receive, yes.
We have to receive, and in fact, the Church is law states it uses an interesting word only a couple times. One, nephos. It says in nephos, which means it's unspeakable. So it is unspeakable.
Nefarious, huh?
Exactly. That's exactly where it comes from. Nephos means literally in Latin, lest it be spoken, essentially. To consecrate only one species, or for the priest not to receive both species. Why is that? It's because if you remember the discussion we had,
we haven't taken to the ash can yet.
If you remember the discussion that we had a week or so ago, maybe a week and a half, about the nature of the Mass being a sacrifice also, and that we receive Holy Communion because first of all it was sacrificed to God, and then God gives us it back. For the priest, we stand in what's called persona Christi Capitis, in the person of the head of Jesus Christ, and so we stand as the head of the whole body. And so we have to receive the whole sacrifice, and if we don't, then the sacrifice isn't valid because we haven't both offered it and received it. Whereas the people, because they are participating in the body of Christ but not as standing as head, you can still take part in the sacrifice without receiving the whole the fruits. So if we don't do it, then we don't have a valid Mass, and then we've sinned. Because we have what's called, we have essentially committed sacrilege.
That's no good.
Exactly.
That's nefarious.
That is nefarious. So we have to receive the whole, both the body and the blood, for it to be a valid Mass.
Yeah. So we have to do that. So there's that. And then there was the other question, Laura, you had about the other pieces of the washing of the feet, the special prayers, procession of the sacrament. It's a weird year. We got special instructions from Rome and from our diocese of how the Triduum was to be celebrated in this time of pandemic. So we got specific instructions, no washing of the feet this year, which makes perfect sense. I mean, if we're not supposed to have contact, it's really hard to...
It's not COVID friendly.
I have gotten that picture of the social distance baptism. Several people have sent that on to me. Have they sent it on to you?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could do social distance washing of the feet, like throwing water onto people's feet.
It kind of loses some of its effect, though. It turns into a water fight.
Here's a towel. Dry your own feet. So we maybe that was on the table at one point. I don't think so.
Yeah.
So anyway, we because of the social distancing and the contact and the fact that people weren't there at the church, that ritual was cut out. It's not essential. It's always optional. So people don't know that. You could, and maybe people have been to masses where they just completely skip that part because you don't have to do it.
Exactly.
And some churches don't like to do it, so they just don't do it. I think it's beautiful myself. It's one of my favorite parts being a pastor, and it's interesting because you'll probably have the Holy Thursday Mass next year because I try to swap it back and forth. So theoretically, it will not be till my 4th year as pastor at Good Shepherd that I'll actually get to wash people's feet.
Wow, okay.
Because I didn't do it last year, and then I didn't do it this year, and then I won't do it next year, and then finally I'll get to wash my parishioners' feet in my 4th year into the parish as Good Shepherd. Same thing with the procession. I don't know exactly why we didn't do the procession.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but that came directly from Rome.
Yeah,
it was odd.
So, but when they say you don't do it, then I try to say, well, okay.
Exactly. And Father Kent and I were talking last night. Some of the oldest liturgies in our church are the Triduum liturgies. And so us changing it up even a little bit in the way that we have is unprecedented. We didn't know what to do at the end of Mass.
You might have noticed that. I kept on looking at the book. Do I do anything? What am I supposed to do?
There aren't rubrics for this because we've been doing it this way for 1,500 years. That's that's astounding to think about. We've been doing. I mean, the liturgy was reformed. The Holy Week liturgy was reformed in 55, then 1962, and then again in 1970. But before that, it had not been touched for 1,500 years or so. And even then, they were mostly minor adjustments. There were some major adjustments that were made, but when it comes to especially like Holy Thursday, mostly minor adjustments. So.
Yeah. So yeah, you might have noticed at the end of Mass, it's like, what is Father doing up there? He keeps on looking at the book and he's flipping the pages, and it's because I didn't know what to do. I thought that I knew what to do, and I was like, I wanted to make sure, is there a final blessing or a final prayer?
Right.
And there's not, because normally what you do is you just have that prayer there, then you take the incense, you incense the host, and then you process it all the way around the church, and then there's no conclusion to the liturgy. So
and that's an interesting point as to why. Generally, there is no blessing at the end of Holy Thursday Mass, just like there's no sign of the cross at the beginning of Good Friday, nor is there a blessing at the end of Good Friday.
Right.
Just like there's no sign of the cross at the beginning of Holy Saturday, in the Easter Vigil. Why?
Oh, do tell.
This is it.
Oh, why, Father Ashmore? Why do we not do that?
Because, anyways,
why is this night different than all other nights, Father Ashmore?
Because it's all one liturgy.
That's right.
Actually, so the Holy Thursday liturgy continues into the Good Friday liturgy, which continues into the Easter Vigil liturgy. So that's why we don't do that. So it was actually interesting yesterday that the Pope gave a blessing at the end of Holy Thursday.
Yeah.
And we didn't, but that wasn't really well thought out. Because we don't really know what to do, and there were no instructions for us, so we didn't. But partly we didn't because it's one continual liturgy.
Right. I was telling Father Ashmore yesterday. I generally do not give instructions at the end of Holy Thursday. Like, I mean, some priests might. I don't know, but they might say, at this time we will now have a procession of the Blessed Sacrament. You're invited to stay and pray for a while, and then we'll rejoin tomorrow at Good Friday, before they start the procession. I generally avoid doing that, and my reason is I kind of like there to be some confusion at the end of the liturgy. And because, maybe it's silly, but for me it kind of enters into that same kind of confusion that the apostles must have felt at the end of all this. They went out to the garden, and then all of a sudden Jesus is arrested, and he's taken from their soldiers that show up, and there was no conclusion to their time together. He didn't say goodbye or I'll see you tomorrow, or just woof. Well, what do we do now? So I kind of like that same kind of sense of, well, should I stay and pray? Should I do this? What do I do? So if I ever celebrate the Holy Thursday Mass and you feel I'm so confused as do I leave now or whatever, that's kind of intentional because I kind of like that. Now, I will say now that I'm on the camera and giving you this, I also think it is beautiful to stay and pray. The idea is kind of we enter into the garden with Jesus, right? That we stay and pray with Jesus. And the Eucharist can be adored up until midnight, and then it's put away and really until Easter, after the Easter Vigil. There's no adoration, there's no Eucharist available for us to be with Jesus. So there's that idea of that prolonged time for prayer. So I do invite people to do that, but I generally don't do that during the liturgy itself because I kind of want there to be some confusion. So
okay,
that's kind of my modus operandi. So
let's see if we've answered all the questions that came up.
I think so.
Yep, I think so.
Yep. Very good. I want to share. Okay. I almost forgot again today. Tomorrow, the food truck will be here from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Catholic Charities food truck. Please, they are in dire need of supplies. So I think that there's more information on the Facebook page. There might be more information also on the web page and through a flock note. If you're wondering what exactly do they need, probably pretty much anything that you would give them, they could probably use at this time. So anyway, our food truck, we have a great we've had a great history of participation with Catholic Charities and their food drives, but they are going to be at the church tomorrow from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So please stop by, help make a donation there with the Catholic Charities. Yes, Deneen, you mentioned the stripping of the altar. It is beautiful, and we did kind of a modified version of that because we basically just stripped the altar. I know at Good Shepherd there's been kind of a more formalized procession, and but I didn't have Martha there last night to help me, our liturgy director, and because I mean we had to keep our numbers down and we want to make sure that everyone stays safe, and so so I said please stay home, but she usually organizes that kind of thing. So it was just basically me kind of saying let's take all this off, and my kind of thing also is I don't mind it being kind of disorganized. The rubrics say it can happen at a different time, and maybe even should happen at a different time. But I think that a lot of people do. That's very powerful for folks, and so I'm fine just doing it. But I don't mind it being kind of disorganized, just stripping, because I like that kind of confusion. Like, there's no end of the liturgy. Everything's coming off of the altar. What is going on here? This is crazy. I kind of like that kind of mixed feelings there.
My dad likes Deacon Marcos. I'm glad. Deacon Marcos is a good man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have good deacons at our parish.
Yes,
we really do.
Yes, we really do. Deacon Steve is also awesome. And then, but also before we get too far afield, if you have not seen the palm cross that Matt DeHamers put together for Palm Sunday, you really should. And if you haven't seen it yet today, holy camole, I need to go up and get some pictures myself. But check out this. It's amazing. It is amazing. So that's the cross made out of palms, and now he's added all this red, and I think that it's a giant crown of thorns surrounding the cross. It's amazing. I haven't been up there myself yet, but make sure if you are out on essential business today, make sure that you go and check out that cross, or make it. As long as you keep 6 feet social distance, go for exercise, go for a walk, go for a little drive, come up there and get a picture or whatever. It is spectacular. I've not seen it in person myself. I just borrowed this off the internet here, but I think it's just spectacular. I don't know if you can see in the picture, but he also put in 2 side crosses too, right? So there's
you can see it in the picture.
The crosses of the criminals there. So it's pretty amazing. So great. We have so much talent in this parish. It's amazing, and so we were very blessed to have Matt DeHamers helping us out to make this a beautiful Holy Week celebration. So if you can go up there and check it out, make sure you do so. And I think so. The Mass today will be live streamed again. Or not the Mass, but it's the service. The 7:30 Good Friday service will be live streamed at 7:30. Theoretically, I don't know, maybe Deneen can answer this. I think that Jim was going over there to lower the cross this morning. Because again, it's
is it Jim Hill who does that? Oh, okay. No,
okay.
okay.
I think so. I think that's right. And it is really powerful for those of you who have attended the Good Friday service here at Good Shepherd. I've experienced exactly one. And just to have the entire community come up and venerate the cross, touch the cross, kiss the cross, however they want to venerate that cross. And again, it's kind of organized chaos. It's not like coming up in like lines and a procession. It's just kind of people coming from all around our round church. Coming at all different angles, and then someone kind of stands up and kind of makes sure everything is managed there, so it doesn't get like crazy, but there's just kind of a come up when you're ready kind of sense. It's not like organized communion lines and let's all go up, and it's whenever you're ready to come up and venerate, you come up and venerate, and it's really beautiful. This year, of course, because of the pandemic, that is another thing that is not allowed. We will have if everything goes according to plan, we will have the camera focus there on the cross so you can venerate in your home, and there'll be music there during that time. We're going to take a little bit of extended time
But I really suggest that families have a cross
Yeah.
in their own home that they venerate during that
Right.
time. If you have a family crucifix or something like that, bring it into the area, and then when it comes time for the veneration of the cross, have all the kids venerate it.
Yep. I'm gonna see if I can pull up the instructions, because I have to say, I mean, jealousy is not the greatest thing, but I have to admit I am a little bit jealous here. I'll just pull it up so I can read it word for word and see if you can put together why I am so jealous. So Father Ashmore has a service today, and then it says, we got clear instructions. During adoration of the Holy Cross, only the priest celebrant is permitted to adore the cross with a kiss. Otherwise, there should be no kissing or touching of the cross. A genuflection or a profound bow is a customary sign of reverence. So that is a reading from the letter of Father John Riley to the congregation. So you know what that means? I don't even get to kiss the cross this year. Only this guy. This is the only guy in the entire parish that gets to touch or kiss our beautiful cross this year. So we were all a little bit jealous, I think. But kiss well,
Okay.
or touch well, whatever you do. We will all be watching. So
interesting fact about the kissing of the cross there and the adoration. So you'll notice that when they retranslated the Roman Missal back in 2011, they changed the word from veneration to adoration of the cross.
Oh, okay.
And that was intentional, because it was always in the Latin adoration of the cross.
Okay.
Because during the traditional liturgies of the church up until the 1950s, I think, didn't actually distribute Holy Communion on Good Friday. They didn't, because what stood in the place of Holy Communion was the adoration and the kissing of the cross.
Oh, interesting.
If that makes sense. So
it does.
The high point of the liturgy was the kissing of the cross, and then we were deprived of the Blessed Sacrament during that time, just as the people were deprived of it. And then just the people deprived of Jesus, pardon me. The priest still received, but only the priest. Nobody else even on the altar or anything, like just the priest. But the adoration of the cross took the place of Holy Communion that day.
Interesting.
And so that's why it's adoration of veneration of the cross. And that's why they're still requiring in a certain way the priest to do it. Because, because the priest celebrant at least is doing it.
Yeah, but not me.
Not you. Nope, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to say. But it's interesting to think of it that way, that's the way that you receive Holy Communion that day, is the adoration of the cross.
Well, I will say that it still always feels, and maybe I'll do a further renovation in another 300 years or so, but it always does feel a little bit, I mean, it's the Eucharist, but it always feels a little bit tacked on.
It does, yeah. So what they used to actually have was something called the Mass of the Priest Sanctified.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what Father Charles always talked about, the Mass of the Priest Sanctified.
It was really fascinating. So the Eastern rites of the church still have what's called the Mass of the Priest Sanctified, but it's completely different. You can't really compare the two. But it was an extended offertory service, essentially, I believe. So I'm not super familiar with this, but you would have the adoration of the cross, and then you go into an extended offertory service with the one host that was saved from yesterday, Holy Thursday. And so it was a little more organic, because it went from the adoration to this extended offertory and adoration of the host, and then it would end. Essentially, with I think another procession at the end. So
interesting.
So it is kind of just added on. That was a change made in 1955. I really like liturgical history.
Yes, I can tell.
I find it very fascinating.
I think it's fascinating too, and I'm learning a lot. So that's great. That's great. But there's several elements there of the Passion, of the Good Friday service. There is so the priest is going to come in, and the deacon, so the three of us will come in, and we will lay there on the floor. Lay or lie? I would never get those ones right. Remember, I got to be in grammar once.
I think it's lie. We'll lie there on the floor.
Okay, so
I'm open to being corrected on that.
We will be prostrate on the floor.
I believe that lay is transitive, lie is intransitive. So.
Okay.
I believe.
I never keep those straight. So we're gonna be there. We're gonna be flat on the floor. We be flat on floor. So that's a very powerful way to begin. It begins in silence, and then we have a long reading from Isaiah. I forget what the second reading is. And then we have...
it's from Hebrews, isn't it?
Hebrews, I think you're right.
Has Jesus entered into the tabernacle or something like that?
I think you're right.
I'd have to double check on that. haven't written my home again.
Well, it always gets overshadowed because there's a big gospel reading of John. So we always read the Passion according to John on Good Friday. On Palm Sunday, we read from the Synoptics, the first three Gospels, either Matthew, Mark, or Luke, depending on what liturgical year we are in. And then on Good Friday, we always read John. And what we're going to do this year, I think I mentioned this before, but Good Friday has the custom of having a choral reading. This is our second year doing a bilingual Good Friday service. Up until last year, we had 2 separate Good Friday services. So we are having a bilingual service. But what we're doing, and again, come on technology, hopefully it all works. But I am editing a video that we recorded of the choral reading in English, which we did over a Zoom conference, which is pretty interesting the way it all works together. So there's the choral reading, and each lector comes on to the screen when they're speaking, and then there's times when the whole chorus comes on.
I just realized it's kind of like the Brady Bunch.
It is a bit like the Brady Bunch, yeah. So you got, in some ways... Oh, Jesus on the cross. So we have the different things when they're chorally speaking. So it does kind of have also a kind of a Greek... Greek
if
chorus.
I just ruined the way of the cross or the reading the Passion for you by saying that, I'm really sorry.
Well, there it is. But it's pretty cool the way it looks with all of those other people there, and then there's a little bit of, we have musical interludes and whatever. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a link to the English choral reading of the Passion. My hope is, because Good Shepherd has that long tradition of that choral reading, that'll be some way connecting you also to the parish and your experience of Good Friday, being able to click on that link. The Passion at the Mass itself will be read, at the service itself, will be, the Mass of the Pre-Sanctified, will be read completely in Spanish. So if you want to hear the reading, it was just going to be too complicated to try to do a bilingual. Yeah. That was our plan, to do that whole thing bilingually, but that needed some practice, and everything changed.
Yep, exactly.
So, but that'll be read, that beautiful Passion reading there. And then we have these big, long petitions, and we pray for specific needs in our church. And interestingly this year, though, this is the one time of the year that you cannot write or add your own petitions, right? Sometimes I've been asking, like at our masses here, to type in your own petitions. Yeah. This is the one service that we do not. It's very prescribed, and here are the words that you will say. But some can be added on the official level from the bishop or from the bishop conference or from the pope, and we have a special intention this year in the time of pandemic.
Right. So last year we had a special intention also.
Was that for the abuse victims?
Crisis, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
So and that is very rare. Yeah, those are the 2 times I can think of that we've done that in the last 40 years, probably.
Right. So we have that, and then we move on to the adoration of the cross, followed by distribution of Holy Communion, and then the service ends in kind of a same confusing manner as Holy Thursday. There's no music or anything. We just exit, and then we come back in on Holy Saturday.
It's true.
So, and then Holy Saturday will be weird also, because one of the most beautiful things, one of my favorite parts of the whole Easter Saturday is when you light those candles from the Easter candle, and the whole church is lit up with candles. That part has been cut out. The whole fire at the beginning, there's a fire kind of about the fire of creation there. It's a very powerful symbol. That's been cut. So lots of things have changed this year. It's very strange.
And so people realize these are instructions coming out of the Vatican, and that have been clarified by the diocese. So we're not cutting them out because we want to cut them out.
No,
not at all. But just, especially with the situation in Italy, I think there's because Italy was hit much harder with COVID-19 than we have so far when it comes to the institutional wise. I think some of the decisions make more sense coming from Italy than they do here in the United States, but because the Church is Roman, we do what they tell us.
Right. So yeah. And I try to do what I'm told, and apply that as much as I can. So that's how things kind of work. Is you get these instructions, and then they come from the diocese, and then how do they apply in the particular parish situation? There can be some changes as long as you don't mess up with the spirit or what the law is asking us to do. Right. So, like for instance, our little drive-through confessions that we had, we had instructions of, okay, this is what you can do. You have to be 6 feet apart. You have to have a screen. And then I'm not sure if open air came later, if it ever did. So yeah, we just said, okay, well, how do we do this here at Good Shepherd? That's how we ended up with the drive-through confessions. This is what's going to work for us. So
certainly
maintaining what we've been asked to do. So any other questions, concerns, things? So I hope that everyone has a beautiful Good Friday time themselves. Remember, it's a day of fasting and abstinence, so no meat today and no eating between meals. I had my cereal this morning, so I'm down one. So I've got another half meal and a full meal if I want to use that. I can. And then generally it's a nice practice, I think, if possible, to have quiet time between noon and 3. Those times when we traditionally honor our Lord and His sacrifice. Both of our families had that custom. And then Stations of the Cross today in English is at 3 o'clock and at 6 o'clock in Spanish.
Yep, absolutely.
Anything else? Did you have any? Oh, you did?
I have a poem I'd like to share before we go.
Excellent.
And it's very fitting for Good Friday. It's not itself about the Passion of Jesus. There are some poems in here about the Passion of Jesus, but I find this one to be particularly beautiful.
All right, so let me take you to the ash.
We're going back to John Donne, who's one of my favorite poets. And this one is another one of his holy sonnets, and it is called Death Be Not Proud.
Okay. Oh,
so,
yeah. Great.
This is considered one of the classics of English poetry.
Yep.
Death be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me. From rests and sleep, which but thy pictures be much pleasure, then from thee much more must flow. And sooner our best men with thee do go, rest of their bones and soul's delivery. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings and desperate men, and dost with poison, war, and sickness dwell, and poppy or charms can make us sleep as well, and better than thy stroke. Why swell'st thou then? One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death thou shalt die.
Love it. Beautiful. All right. Well,
I only messed up once. There we
are. I wouldn't have known. So again, thanks everyone for tuning in today. Hope you have a blessed Good Friday. We will see you. Next time we will see you, Jesus will have risen on Easter Sunday. So
we'll see you back on Easter
Monday. Easter Monday, and we'll be here. We'll be here all week next week. So we are your community in the distance, and we hope to bring you out of loneliness and bring some connection there. And and if you have any questions about anything else that happens over the weekend, feel free to shoot us an email or save it for the comments, and we'll try to answer them as we can. So
thank you all so much for joining us this week. It's been wonderful. We look forward to seeing you next week. May God bless you. Have a beautiful Easter Triduum, Paschal Triduum, and please keep us in your prayers.
Absolutely. Happy Easter, everybody.